All right, and we are good to go. I know we'll have more people joining us as we go. If you're joining us on Facebook, welcome. And again, anyone that is new here tonight, welcome to you. My name's Tanya Sheldon. I'm coming to you live from Meridian, Idaho. I've been a part of this business for almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years in October, which is insane. But I'm really excited about our guest tonight. We're going to get right to our guest so we can just value her time. And I have announcements at the end, so stick with us because there is a August team promotion going on that you can do through your app with up to 5 people. So we'll talk about that at the end, so stay on. But we're going to get right to it. I remember Cherise Matthews. She's in California, you guys, and she's going to share a little bit about her story. And then she brought to the table an amazing topic that we're all going to want to hear and probably tag people on in Facebook so they can hear this back. But I remember the first time I met her, and she's just never changed. She's just a ray of sunshine. What you see right now in her little square is exactly what you get in person. Like this beautiful electric smile, so much energy. She's probably like one of the top 5 speakers in LifeVantage because she keeps your attention the entire time. And you're a phenomenal speaker. You guys have to get to events so you can see people like Cherise Matthews speaking. So Cherise, I just want you to start tonight to kind of take everybody back, because I know we've got a lot of new people on here that probably don't even know your story of like what life was like before you were introduced to LifeVantage, and then tell everybody why you said yes. And then we'll get into the other topic.
Well, thank you so much, Tanya. I'm looking at all these beautiful faces and I recognize a lot of them and some are new to me, but beautiful team. And thank you for the invite. This is so exciting to be here. I have a giant smile on my face just because I'm looking at everybody here. But thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya. Yes, I have been with the company for 12 years. It's wild. And, I don't want to get too deep into my old story because I actually have a new story that probably none of you have heard. And when you're here for 12 years, your story evolves, not the story of how you got involved, but how over time, what happens in your life throughout this 12-year process. No one stays the same in 12 years, do they? And, I will say this much is when I was first introduced to this, Stu Brody sent me the ABC Primetime way back when. And he called me up and he's like, hey, did you watch it? Because Carrie saw it. And then he called Carrie and said, and she liked it. And he said, hey, did you watch it? Because Cherise saw it and she liked it. And we never knew that story until years later it kind of came out. We're like, hey, who'd you send it to first? Darn it. I'm in her business. She could have been mine. Anyways, I have a background in fitness. I've always had a passion for fitness. I have also, I've trained from beginning athletes to Olympians, everyone in between. And I just have a passion for inspiring and helping people become healthier and being the best version of themselves. And that's kind of my background, along with, I also have a background in business. And I helped pretty much entrepreneurs do some estate planning way back when. And these people used to make a ton of money. We were insuring these huge estates. And I'm like, what the heck do these people do? And it always came down to 2 things. They were either first to market to something, or they just had residual income. And I'm just like, well, how do you do both of those? And lo and behold, here we are years later. I'm like, yes, I found the key. It's here is how you find that. But I want to, and Carrie Dickey I've only been approached 3 times in all of my whole entire life to join a network marketing company. One was a student. I know people always go, have you heard of this company? Have you heard of that company? I'm like, no, I've been approached 3 times, you guys. And one was a student in my fitness class. And from that company, I had met Carrie Dickey. We were cousins in that company. And we hit it off. She's one of my very best friends. And the second time when I swore this business off, it was Carrie Dickey that approached me. And I said, yes, let's go, let's run. We went like crazy. And then when this company came around, the other company went away and this company came around. I said, no way, Carrie, I am not doing this again. No way, no how. And there was only one problem. Actually, there were 2 problems. One was that it was kind of like a wolf that tasted the sheep. and I tasted leveraged income, and I could never go back to doing linear income again. I was like, wait, I'm going to work this 1 hour and train these people. I could make that like, oh my gosh, in like, in a millisecond with this company, right? And the second reason was I was fearful because I was afraid that if my best friend was going to run like crazy, she was going to leave me behind. And I was like, no, I cannot allow that. I have got to just join her. And I actually sat on the sidelines, you guys, for 1 whole year after I was introduced to this business, a whole year. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do this again. No, I'm not going to do this again. And then I remember going to an elite academy, and of course it's electrifying, but I was at an elite academy and it was somewhere in Texas. And I walked out of the hotel coming back to come home. And I thought to myself, these are going to either be really expensive parties or I'm going to need to earn some money. And I'm like, let's go. So ran, and then of course the rest is history. But the little tiny thing I want to just share with you guys, and how this has changed my life so much, and my heart is pounding because I have not told you guys this story. Maybe I should share it another time, but because I have some other training I want to share with you. But now I'm too far in, right? Oh gosh, here we go. This company has changed my life dramatically, and I'll tell you why. It was 8 years ago. I was doing my last half Ironman in Hawaii, and my stomach had shunted, and I didn't know it. I had like massive cramps. My stomach shunted, and I was on the switchback on the run. I saw my husband. He was doing the race as well. And I said, pick out a name, babe. I'm in labor. And he's like, what is going on? And, I was closer to the age of menopause than I was to childbearing years. So I was like, what the heck is going on here? And I went through the finish line. And at that finish line, collapsed at the other end of the finish line, and 3 bags of fluids went in my body in 15 minutes. They said, I think you need to go to the hospital. I said, nothing happens fast in a Hawaii hospital. I'm fine. And got up, kind of brushed myself off, came back, and it had been a week. I thought I better take a few days off before I go teach another class. And I went to go teach my class, and the second push-up in, I fell on my face, almost broke my nose, and my muscles had shut off completely. Like when I say shut off, I mean like they didn't move. And if I tried to lift something, it would just collapse. I would collapse. And I had the shakes for 2.5 years. I completely fried my adrenals, and they were done. My body said, no more, no more. And I see some of you shaking your head. I'm like, I hope no one's ever been there before, because that's not fun. And so I was literally spent tens of thousands of dollars on my health, trying to figure out how to turn my body back on. And I mean, like crazy. Like I was still teaching. I had a full body injury. I had a doctor say, you are literally 1 virus away from never recovering from chronic fatigue. You're hanging on by dental floss. Like, stop everything now. In the midst, I'm a pro 8 with this company. How am I going to stop everything? No way. I've got 3 boys. We're in sports. I've got this business. I'm teaching fitness. At that time, I think I was working out 20 hours a week, doing this business probably 20 hours a week as well, and then family. And I'm like, you're crazy. What's going on? So I went, and some of you may have heard of the Amen clinics. Dr. Amen, and he's out here in Costa Mesa. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go get a brain scan. I've done everything else. And thankfully for this business, it allowed me to have money to go do this stuff, right? To go and pay $5,000 for a brain scan. And I went in there, and I'm like, my dad died of Alzheimer's. That's just preventative. And, I've overdone it. And I just kind of want to see where my brain is. And, it's going to be so much fun. That's my attitude all the time. Right. And I went back for the results day, and Dr. Amen comes out in the waiting room, and he's introducing himself to everybody. I'm like, Dr. Amen, hi. And I'm shaking his hand, and I'm waiting out there forever, you guys. And finally I get called back, and the psychiatrist says, I'm really sorry, but we've never seen anything like this before. And I'm like, what? And she goes, this is a 1% brain scan. And I'm like, 1%er, yeah, woo woo. And she's like, no, I'm sorry, no, this is not in a good way. And she said, you pretty much should be completely hospitalized, unable to eat, drink, in a coma. And as she shows me the brain scan, and she says, and I don't know what to do this. So I had Dr. Amen take a look at it. And he goes, oh yeah, she's in a coma, right? And she says, no, she's in the waiting room right now. And he said, go and check it out. She went out and checked out. He came back in, he goes, and she's happy. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the brain scans by the Amen Clinic, but only one little dot lit up in my brain. And that was it. And I was like, so they took that part out, other parts lit up. And she goes, I don't know what to tell you. Just play some table tennis. And I'm like, table tennis? Yeah, thank you, honey. And then she said, as I was walking out, just so you know, this looks a little like PTSD. And I leaned into her and I said, I have skipped down a yellow brick road. You are crazy. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And that was 2019. And my body was still shut off, but I didn't let anybody really know it. And that was 2019, November. And then 2020 hit, and it was about the best thing that ever happened to me in my whole life. Everything shut down, not just my body. Well, when everything shut down, guess what it had made everybody do? Go in, didn't it? And I was like so overwhelmed. Man, I have the best family. Let me tell you what, my boys are in here. We're cooking. We're doing everything together. We're having so much fun. And I'm overwhelmed and like really overwhelmed. And I am like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And I was praying one day and I heard, call this lady. She's a psychologist. And I heard, call her. And I'm like, I don't know. And I call up and I say, hi, I need an appointment. And she's like, okay, what are you in for? And I'm like, I don't even know. I have no idea, but it's kind of haunting me. And I sent her my brain scan and, and I'm like, my body shut off. And could your body have PTSD? And you guys, at this point, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on my health. And she's like, yeah, I said, did you look at my brain scan? She goes, uh-huh. With a smile on her face. I'm like, okay. And she goes, I'm going to need to see you every 4 days. And I'm like, what? Okay. I'm like, why don't we just go all in? I'm an all in girl. Let's go all in 10 days straight. Let's go all in. And she's like, it doesn't work like that. And long story short was that 9 months into the therapy, massive trauma came out that was completely suppressed. Hence the distraction of working out and building business and going crazy and blah, blah, blah. And the way people cope with things, number one is denial. Number two is distraction that we are all very good at doing. And then number three is deal. And the moment all of that came out, it was the moment my body started to turn back on. And that, I could actually lose it, but it's still a work in progress. It is not done. But what I want to say is this: if it wasn't for this business, no way would I have had the resources to do what I've been able to do. No way would our family have the resources. And I'm so incredibly grateful for this business and for the time freedom that it's allowed as well. So I know that was a very long story there. I was supposed to say our little 3-minute stories, but in the future, maybe I'll give you a little more of what it's all about. But I just want to say is that this is a business of personal growth like nothing else. And if you think you're going to do this without personal growth, you may have to go find another business, right? So thank you, Tanya.
Yeah, I'm kind of,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
And I also believe her too saved my life, you guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's so many lessons wrapped up in what you just told us. Like, it's a lot. Thanks for sharing.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. But that, and and I don't say that by any other reason, to just say you gotta go in. And that's what this whole business is about too. So our next topic, that's going to tie in to what this is all about.
Okay, so let's shift and bring it. Okay, tell us about rank advancing, Cherise.
Okay.
Tell us. Love you.
I love you too. Thank you. So I am a person of like, if you guys saw my office and my notes, and I take notes like crazy, and I write, and I love books. These are my babies. I call my books my babies. Okay. And I'm a writer. And so if I'm looking down, it's because I have prepared for this, you guys, because I truly believe that there are, number one, preparation's everything, but also every single rank in this company is so special, and it takes something to do to get to each rank, right? You have to grow a little in each rank. And it's kind of like teenagers. I've got a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 15-year-old right now. And you guys, woo, the growing pains with teenagers, sending one off to college next week. It's like, yikes. But in parenting, I don't know if any of you have ever had fear in raising teenagers. For those of you that have raised kids or teenagers, the kids were easy. The teenagers were scary to me. There's only a couple of things that can ever strip your confidence, and one of them is a teenager, your own teenager, right? But Albert Rossi says, we fear the things that we are not mature enough to handle. I want you to think about that for a second. We fear the things that we are not mature enough to handle. So I want you to ask yourself, to get to the next rank, what am I fearing? Okay. And I want you to take that decision all the way to the end. I have always told my boys this: when you're going to do something, you take the decision all the way to the end. If you're going to drink and you're going to drive, take that decision all the way to the end. It's ugly at the end. If it's ugly at the end, it's ugly at the beginning. Okay. But take this fear, if you have any fear, and we all have fears. You guys, talk about fear. I've just experienced crazy fear in just the last 2 years. But real, like, what are you fearing? So how does this relate to our business? Well, we go through different stages, right? In our business. And how fortunate are we that we have these stepping stones in our business, rank, 1 and 2 and 3, and we have these stepping stones. And so what I want you to think of is, when you first enroll, you're a brand new distributor, okay? And to get to Pro 1 through 3, you are mature enough to see an opportunity. That's all it takes. You're mature enough to see an opportunity, and you go, oh, there is a possibility here. There's hope. There's possibility. So you're not fearing much more other than, ooh, there's an opportunity, right? But you're mature enough to see that. All right. So you're mature enough. So you're mature enough to take the products, to start sharing with a couple friends. You can get to Pro 3 by yourself. You all know that, right? You literally can sign in customers and a few distributors, and you can get there by yourself, Pro 3. But you're mature enough to see that opportunity and to take that. Now, you're also mature enough to database and to reach out to a few people, right? Because all you're looking at now is Pro 3. You're looking at that, and you start inviting and understanding how to enroll customers and distributors, okay? That's what it takes, 1 to 3. You're right in that range. We're going to move to Pro 4 though. Now, Pro 4, you start to become mature enough to handle the no's. You start to become mature enough to go like, ouch, that hurt, but that's not going to derail me from inviting some more. Okay. You're going to go, ouch, like those no's kind of hurt. And we've all had some no's, and some have had worse than no's than others. And I mean, we've had family no's and friends no's, and but you're mature enough to handle that. And you're also mature enough to be coached by your upline. And when I say that is, if somebody, you can get to Pro 3 by yourself, but to get to Pro 4, you need a little coaching. You need a little bit of coaching, and it takes maturity to say, yeah, I need a little help. I need you to tell me a little bit more on how I get there. So maturity comes and being coached by your upline, and you're mature enough to now show up to events, right? Because I really don't know too many Pro 4s that haven't been to an event, right? Even if the event is this right here, this training right here. but you're mature enough and you know that you have to show up to events, right? And that your team won't go there if you're not there, right? A team won't go there if you're not there. I mean, I can relate so many different times when, like, just to my own kids, I mean, we teach by doing, right? I'll never forget this. My son, he was 18 months old, first son. Oh, I'm going to take him for an ice cream cone. I'm so excited. I got him my favorite ice cream. Oh boy, he had never had an ice cream. So chocolate mint, of course. Right. And I give him the ice cream cone. I'm so excited. Southern California. It's a hot day outside. And he looks at it. His eyes are really big and he does this. Starts rolling it on his head. And I'm like, what the heck is he doing? I'm like, how do you know? Right. Then I'm like, I didn't realize that I had to actually teach him that you lick it. It tastes really good. He was just like, this thing feels good. It's hot out. Right. And this is what we're talking about. These are the little babies at Pro 4, right? And they have to be mature enough to handle some coaching. Okay. So when you're at Pro 4, it's coaching. All right. And the leadership seed has now been planted at Pro 4. You kind of get this little taste of like, ooh, yeah, it takes a little bit of leadership. I'm coaching, I'm being coached, and I think I need to actually kind of coach my team as well. Okay, so this is how we mature in the business. Okay, now the leadership seed has been planted, but are you mature enough to water it? Are you? You have to be mature enough to water it at Pro 4, because you can get really like, yeah, I'm singing in this business. I'm a Pro 4. I'm going to take it all the way to 10. Yes, I'm there. But you have to be mature enough to water that leadership seed. Okay. Now we move on to Pro 5. Newsflash, Pro 5, you're a network marketer. Newsflash. You are a network marketer. And there's like one person smiling right now. Who is that? Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yes, you're a network marketer. Okay, newsflash. All right. You have to be mature enough to like lead other people. And honestly, in the industry, yes, you do network marketing. And yes, it is one of those things. Yes, you do it and own it. Yes, who just said own it? Yes, Isa, own it. You do network marketing, and yes, it is one of those things. Okay. And you have to be mature enough to understand that, but also you have to be mature enough to be humble enough to ask for help. Humble enough. Okay. So you also have to be mature enough for Pro 5 to have sacrifice. And I'm sorry. I mean, this is a business now, you guys. Sacrifice a couple kids' sporting events. Ugh, I'm not one to miss those. I don't like it, but once in a while you have to. Or time away from your family to go help another distributor, or possibly to be on a Zoom, right? Or whatever it is, right? So you have to be mature enough for that. And if the mindset of a leader, does that scare you? Does it scare you? Because at Pro 5, this is a shift, right? And at Pro 5, does that scare you? Leadership. Well, you know what? You're only fearful of, if you're not mature enough to handle it, right? So are you fearful of this? Right. And have you been asked to lead at your current job? Have you ever asked to lead anybody? Some people have not, but so most of us have. If you've raised children, you've had to lead. You may have had to lead at your church. You may have had to lead, a fitness class. You may have had to lead, being a librarian, you had to lead being a dentist, be anything, right? You've had to lead a little bit, right? Or have you always been a follower? And if you have, this is a tough rank. If you've always been a follower, this is a tough rank. You have to be mature enough to start the leadership process, right? And this is the deal. I love this. We get to Pro 5 and we go, oh no, that's my big leg. Another news flash. it's not your big leg until it hits 400,000. Okay. They go, oh, that's my big leg. I'm working over here on the other legs. Newsflash, it's not your big leg until it hits 400,000. Okay. Okay. We got that. Okay. So you have to be mature enough for that too. You're working with all of your team. You're working always with your team. Okay. Let's see. And you have to also be mature enough at this rank to start presenting. You have to present, right? You're presenting now, right? You have to have patience. Stop perpetuating adolescence. You're a leader. This is a business, right? Okay. Then here we go. Let's go on to Pro 6. This is such a critical turning point. Ooh. Pro 6. You either know people that have hung out at Pro 6 forever and ever and ever and ever, or you have Pro 6s that are there for like a millisecond. And the only difference between the two of them is personal growth. That's it. The only difference is some of them have already done some personal growth and some of them need to. And I'm not going to, that sounds really mean. That doesn't mean like, okay, someone's probably going, oh my God, I've been at Pro 6. Trust me, I've been at Pro 8 since 2013, guys. So I'm talking to myself too at Pro 8. Okay. So don't take that in any other way than lovingly. Like it takes growth, right? It takes crazy growth, right? So Pro 6 is all about personal growth. So I want you to think of pizza dough. So pizza dough, it stretches, but if you pull it, it just pulls apart, right? And if you try to force it, it just retracts. It takes slow movement, maneuvering, right? I'm trying to do pizza dough on the fist. It takes, and let it soften out, right? That's personal growth, you guys. If you try to force it, you go, I'm going to read all these books. I got it. But what did you even take from a book if you read it that fast, right? And you just took the pizza dough and you smashed it in half, right? That's it. Or you read a bunch and then you retract it back because it wasn't real personal growth, right? So you read, reach, or you will retract. Now, when I say read, it could be anything. It could be a podcast. It could be any, but it just sounds good, doesn't it? Read, reach, or retract. I just thought it did. So we're going to say read. All right. So this is where also you have to be mature enough for the personal growth, but also mature enough to start listening to your team. Active listening does not try to fix problems, right? It's simply being fully present to the other and speaks, really, you have to listen and obviously not make it about yourself, right? But you have to want to be listened to. You're earning the conversation by listening. This is all part of the personal growth, right? It's part of the personal growth at Pro 6. Okay. And then digging down, you have to be mature enough to dig down to reach for the leader that wants to run, but may not even know it yet. You got to fill them out. Like, who wants to run? Like, and maybe someone's not mature enough to get to Pro 4 yet, and you're going to help them get there. Right? Maybe they're still at 2 or 3. I have a leader right now that's, she's on fire right now. And she wasn't always like that. And she's growing leaps and bounds right now because she pushed through it and we've dug in, right? But you dig down to find them, right? And you believe in others, even if they don't believe in themselves. And we hear that all the time in this business, but it's so, so, so true. Okay, now we're moving on. Now we're getting to elites. Pro 7. Do you want to know what it takes to get to a Pro 7? You got to be mature enough to start inviting again. You think you made it? Oh, baby, you have not even gotten close. Right? Mature enough to make it not about you. And you also need to be mature enough to start speaking in front of large crowds of people. Are you scared of that? Or is it exciting to you? Have you done it before? Maybe you have to start with your dog. I did that. I don't know when that was, a couple years ago. the Disneyland thing from stage. You guys, I did that. If you could see this mirror, anyways, I don't want to, if I lift up my computer, everything will fall. But there's a gigantic mirror on my wall right here. And this is where I practice in here. And my dog, yes, Toastmaster says, record yourself. You're right. My dog, at the time, the one dog, she's only like 10 pounds. And I was practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. I had never acted before here either. And my dog got up, walked out the door, and I panicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, she doesn't like it. I'm like, oh, she doesn't even like it. And then she came back around the corner and looked in like, what the heck is going on in there? Talk about messing with your confidence. Your teenagers and your dog can mess with your confidence, but you have to be mature enough to practice and to be able to do that. What Pro 7 do you know that's not on stage talking? And they're not talking all the time about themselves. That's the thing, right? They're giving value. They're hoping that whatever they share is going to bring value to you, to inspire you, right? You also have to be mature enough for Pro 7 to know how to build community and camaraderie. I thought I needed no one. I was like, I could take this all the way. There's no way, you guys. We all need each other. We all know that. I mean, 2020 hit and we all went, oh, we need people. Well, same thing here, right? We need people, right? All right, Pro 8. We're getting there now. Pro 8, you have to be mature enough. I'm just laughing, to invite some more. Okay. And you have to be mature enough that even when you lose an elite distributor in your business, you have to replace them. That's what personally happened to me. I had a whole Pro 7 and she told me, don't worry about my group. You go run over there. And guess what I did? Didn't build relationships in there either, because I listened and I said, okay, that's awesome. I'll go run over here. And that whole team crumbled. And I had to rebuild like crazy as that was falling and I was rebuilding. Have maintained a Pro 8 the whole entire time. That's tough, you guys. That's tough, but you have to be mature enough to not put yourself under the covers when things like that happen. It happens. And I'm just being super real with you. It happens, right? And I was like, oh yeah, no big deal. Oh yeah, sure. No. It happens. And you have to be mature enough to find new ways to grow. You have to be mature enough to find inspiration when you do want to get underneath the covers. You have to be mature enough to continue to enroll, even if you are making a 6-figure income. Because if you don't water that plant, it goes away. It does, right? It'll dwindle. It'll dwindle. You also have to be mature enough to grow like crazy. Hello, in the last couple of years and go, what the heck is up with me? And dig in enough to find out what it is. Okay? You read, you reach, or you're going to retract. Now, we're going to go to Pro 9 and Pro 10, but I'm going to tell you this much. With all the love in my heart, I haven't gotten there yet. So I am just projecting these two. Okay. I know I've already done the other one, so I can tell you for sure. But these, I think I have a good idea because one of my best friends is like a Pro 11. And I've seen the growing pains all the way through there. But I just want to say, Pro 9, you made it halfway to Pro 10. Congratulations. Yeah, halfway. You guys think that Pro 9, you're Pro 9, you're like, yes, I'm almost to Pro 10. No, you're not. You're halfway to Pro 10. Think about that. Promise me you're not going to go anywhere after you just heard that and go, forget about that. I am not going to work that hard. If I get to Pro 9 and I'm only halfway to Pro 10, no. The journey is so much fun and you get paid a lot of money on the way there. Okay, so don't worry. All right, but you're halfway to Pro 10, believe it or not, right? Do you have the endurance? Do you have the endurance? You have to be mature enough that when your stomach shunts, you go, oh, I'm going to finish it anyways, right? Do you have the endurance? You have to be mature enough, and it's scary. It is, right? Whew, you're now in the 21st mile of the marathon. And is it good enough? Will you persevere? Sometimes I feel like this marathon, sometimes I feel like I'm doing this marathon in this business with pumps on. It's hard, right? It's so worth it though. And then Pro 10. Are you mature enough to have a self-taught doctorate degree in psychology? That's what it takes to get to Pro 10. That's what it takes to get to Pro 10. I've seen it over and over. It does not happen by accident. It takes massive personal growth and knowing how to deal with people, because we are a people business. We're a people business, right? And so what I want to say is this. I just want to say that you're gonna say, we fear things that we are not mature enough to handle. So if you ever get stuck, ask yourself, what am I fearing that I'm not mature enough to handle? And the last I'm going to leave you with is this. We often regret what we didn't do much more than what we did. Risk caring deeply, risk looking foolish, and choose courage over comfort every single time. It is always, always worth it. So thank you.
Thank you, Cherise. So good. I want to share something real quick with you guys, and then Cherise will let you go and we'll do announcements real quick. I'll make the announcements fast, you guys, but there's this podcast I listen to. Go find it. It's Ed Milet. It's one of his newest, and it's about personal branding with Rory Vaden, the Ed Milet Show. It's a podcast. And in this podcast, he talks about this theory called Sheehan's Wall. And on one side of the wall is, I forget the terms that he used, but it's basically where you are now. And then on the other side of the wall is where you want to go, right? And you have to, of course, get through the wall to get there. But in the midst of that moment, and I'm thinking of 9 to 10, right? You're halfway there. Or maybe it's, you've been stuck at Pro 3 and you have it in you to get to Pro 5. You're halfway to Pro 5 as a Pro 4. But to get there, many times, especially in this industry, there can be a lot of outside noise. There's a lot of outside trainers. There's a lot of outside social branding people, social networking people, all the things. And it can become so noisy that instead of getting through the wall, we're like bouncing back and forth. We're bouncing off the wall and we're not getting anywhere because we're confusing ourselves with everything that's coming at us. But instead, imagining picking up a hammer. The hammer is shaped like a T, right? You got ITT right in your hand. And if you just go to the wall and you pick one spot and you just keep pounding that one spot, ITT, 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 the wall will eventually crack. And then once you have a crack, it's going to break open. But you just have to stay consistent where you are. And it's that endurance thing, Cherise. Like he talks about it in the podcast. So many people, they don't have the endurance to keep pounding the one spot, and then they give up and they walk away and they go the other direction. And they were so close, just like the gold digger, right? We all know that analogy, but it's the same thing. So all that to say, consistency matters. And I believe, because I've been on a roller coaster too as a 7, but I believe you'll stay with that endurance if you keep your priorities intact and you stick with what you know and you don't get distracted. Because when you stick with what you know, you'll continue to build your belief, you'll build your passion, and then you'll know what your purpose is. And you'll want to talk to everybody that you can, and you'll have no problem continuing to invite as you grow. So that was so good, Cherise. So good.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time tonight. And thanks for being with us. We just value you so much. And I'm so glad that you're doing good and that you had that awakening and you were able to get help and be better.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it's an honor to be here with everyone here. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too.
Okay, everybody, I'll share my screen quick and we will get through the announcements. Okay, here we go. Buckle up. Okay, so every Tuesday, everybody should know the lineup for the week. And if you don't know the lineup for the week or you don't have it in your calendar on a weekly basis, then just know it's always posted in the Telegram group. It's always posted in the Facebook team groups. Just make sure that you are resourceful enough to know where to find that information so you never miss this. So every Tuesday, we know Brandon Cunningham does his presentation as well as Flip the Switch. I don't know who's doing that yet. But again, this is a great avenue to tag your new people on or your guests on. It's the official LifeVantage page where they can watch a presentation live. Wednesday Wellness, we'll get that information out to you as soon as we can. This will always be streamed into Vitality Living and is a great thing to tag your guests on in the comments when that goes live. Our beautiful Issa Dinerman, she will be presenting the Thursday night opportunity presentation. So excited for that, Issa. She always just does such a beautiful job. And then every month now, I don't know how often they'll do this, but for now, this week, it'll be Activate Thursday. And this will be Dr. Sean McKee. And she will be doing this a half hour before Issa's presentation on the official LifeVantage public page. And they will be talking about the ingredient ruby quinoa. So something perfect to let your current customers know that are on collagen. This will be great information for them to build their belief in what they're already taking. Okay, we'll end with this. There's August month of action taking place. So if you want more information on this, there was an email that went out today that has information on it, or get with your upline elite as well. But what this is it's a way for you to build your knowledge and grow your business by using the app. So through the month of August, you can create a team of up to 5 distributors. You're going to build that in the app. So you'll basically will open your app, and then when you go to the little icon at the bottom, the little hexagon, you'll click on leaderboard. And when you click on leaderboard at the bottom, there will be the details for the August month of action. And so what this is, it's a point system basically to get you using the app, and the team with the most points is going to get some incredible prizes. There might even be prizes that, I don't know what the prizes are, but I'm thinking there might be some tied to Global Convention. But you get points for inviting people through the app. You get points for sending tools through the app. You get points for using team through the app. And then, of course, you get extra points by qualifying for the MVP program we have at the bronze, silver, or gold levels. So it can be a lot of fun. And I would even recommend within your teams, because I know some of you are getting this information late, within your teams, build incentives for the 5 of you. Maybe you make it competitive between the 5 of you, right? Maybe you all go in $20 in the pot, and the person that does the most points at the end gets the $100. Maybe it's just something you do that way, but something that gets you in action, getting the information out there, but again, doing it through the app, an amazing business tool that we have. Activation Nation, they've got a really cool collage, by the way, at Rio at the stadium in Salt Lake City, the soccer stadium, about this podcast that's taking place. So I believe Dr. Brett Brimhall will be speaking on that this Friday. He will be the guest this Friday, Activation Nation, the LifeVantage podcast, and then Global Convention. The agenda is live, so you can see when it's important for you to arrive and when you can leave. Really make sure that you get on top of that sooner rather than later, and figure out your transportation, who you're going to share a room with. It's always so fun to share this opportunity with people. I will never forget one of the events I went to. We put 6 of us in a room, and 2 of us slept on an extra air mattress in between the other queen beds. And by the morning, the air had gone like halfway out of it. We were like this next to each other when we woke up. It was so funny, but I'll never forget it because it was such a beautiful way to we made it so inexpensive by packing people in a room and just sharing the experience. So don't be afraid to do that so that you can do whatever it takes to get there. Because just like you heard Cherise say, if you show up at those events, that can be the one turning point that completely changes the course of your life, the course of your business, and then all those people that you have yet to talk to. Okay. Thanks for being on tonight, you guys. Love you very much. Welcome again to all the new people. Everybody have a wonderful week. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Cherise.